Hello. Welcome to this fantastic new edition, double month edition of books I finished in month blank. this time around, it's books I finished in the months of February and March. February was a slow reading month for me. Uh, I was diagnosed, or I rather tested positive, not diagnosed. I was tested positive for COVID in January. And since January, and I'm really only getting it back now, but since January, I lost my smell, parts, a portion of my taste, a large portion of my taste. And then you deal with just general effects, tiredness, COVID fatigue tiredness. I think probably a lot of people who had COVID are probably going to end up dealing with that, or have dealt with that. So it was more like a listlessness of just not wanting to do a lot of things. So I think that's why I'm going to chalk my slow pace of the month of February, in the month of February of my reading, to is COVID fatigue, most likely. Um, but I picked it back up in March. And my GoodReads reading challenge goal for this year, for 2021, is 150 books in the month of 2020, in the year of 2021. I read 100 plus last year when my reading goal was 100, so 150 is not too far off. But by February, I had only read 14 books, so I need to pick up the pace. While I meant to, it wasn't something I actively sought out to do, but fortunately, I was able to pick up the pace in March, and I read 18 books in March. Um, so here are a recap of the books I read in both those months, respectively. A lot of those books a lot of those entries, singular books counted, were manga volumes, which 100% count as books. So it just happened to be a lot of manga. So let's get started. The books I finished in the month of February are Attack on Titan, Volume 9. I gave that 5 stars. Villainous, Stony Williams' Jeff Sadinsky. I gave that 3 stars. Hello Habits, A Minimalist Guide to a Better Life by Fumio Sasaki. I gave that one 3 stars. Attack on Titan Volume 10, Hajime Sayama. I gave that one 5 stars as well. Ozark Folk Magic by Brandon Weston. Gave this one 5 stars. And Nightmare House, the audiobook by Douglas Clegg. 3 stars. So I had three-star reads and 3 5-star reads. So a nice 4-star month. If I had to buy one of the books of the 6 I read, it would probably be Ozark Folk Magic. Um, it was interesting as a cultural reference. I honestly thought that the Appalachians and the Ozarks were, you know, the same, that the Ozarks were part of the Appalachians, but apparently it's right to the west, the northwest of the Appalachians, so it's not the same. Similar but different. So that was interesting to learn about that culture, learn about where the author hopes that culture will go, and just the idea of cultural preservation is always interesting to me. So that would probably be the book I would buy if I had to, but I don't have to because I'm my own person. So, moving on to the month of March. So, at the end of February, I was at 14 books read out of my goal of 150. The pace I needed to pick up, and thankfully I did, reading 18 books in March. Those 18 books were from earliest to last finish in March. Uh, they were Attack on Titan, Volume 11, which I gave 4 stars. It's probably possibly the lowest ranks, or the one maybe one of the ones I like the least because per my GoodReads notes, maybe about like a 3.5, but I rounded up to a 4. Um, not super much, as I remember, not super much happened in like the story one way or the other, so it was kind of just like one of these middling volumes for me. But you still needed it to continue on, so about a 4 stars. Attack on Titan Volume 12, 4 stars. Attack on Titan Volume 13, 4 stars. Attack on Titan Volume 14, 4 stars as well. Attack on Titan Volume 15, 4 stars. Attack on Volume Attack on Titan Volume 16, 5 stars. Really great pacing. You know, sometimes a volume reads so well, so you're so immersed in the story that it goes by so quick, and you're like, "Where's the next one? Where's the next one?" That was one of these volumes, Volume 16. Attack on Titan Volume 17, 5 stars. Attack on Titan Volume 18, 4 stars. Attack on Titan Volume 19, 5 stars. Attack on Titan Volume 20, 5 stars as well. Then I got to finish, you know, uh, a non-manga book. This was Machine by Elizabeth Bear. I had started reading this months ago. I unfortunately lapsed. The license lapsed on the NetGalley version I had access to. So I waited because I was in the story and I was like, I want to finish the story. I requested it through the library for the win, and um, it came. The library loan came after like 16 weeks. It came through and I finished the read. Um, and I still only gave it 3 stars. It was, we're out in space, rogue AI, alien creatures. Humanity is so different now, but we also have like these frozen humans. Ooh, atavistic. I don't. It was 3 stars for me. Um, yeah, it wasn't anything offensive, but it also wasn't anything fantastic or wowing me. So I gave it 3 stars. Then I went back to Attack on Titan. I finished Volume 21, which I gave 4 stars. I finished Volume 22, which I also gave 4 stars. And I finished Volume 23, which I gave 5 stars. Okay. Then again, I went back to a non-manga. And I finished The Future Is Yours by Dan Frey. Two friends who met in college. One is super genius. One is just charismatic businessman, knows how to get what he needs. Um, and I feel like they're made to be these two diverse characters. The charismatic one was black, the genius one was Indian. Um, and they met this Ivy League, but that diverse aspect of them felt very secondary to everything. For Ben, the black character, he's the first black CEO of this like major tech company or something, and these are two minorities in the tech space. That we don't get that time of like, oh, what issues are they struggling to face with access to entry or getting into this industry? How is that a challenge for them? We don't get that. Adi, the Indian protagonist, his genius best friend, is just this weird loner who has like issues of mental health, and he's always just referencing the Bhagavad Gita, and even though he's not he's not super about it, he also references just Hinduism, at random points. Okay, it just didn't seem, less so for Addie but more so for Ben. It just didn't seem like that aspect of them was a valued aspect of their life experience in the book. Which is not to say, oh, they needed to make everything about race. Obviously not. But also, you can't not be a non-white person in America and not have that pop up at one point or the other. Especially since these are people who are being looked at by the government. Especially since they're in a space that is known for being um, dominated by specific demographics. So I just thought it was interesting. Um, and I didn't necessarily buy the character voices, but the story itself wasn't bad. The use of text messages and reports and articles to move the story along was really fun and interesting. But the book was also a bit um, predictable. Where it went towards the end, uh, because the idea is the tech that they have is a time travel tech, time travel, um, where at first they're able to just get information from the future, and that's what they're gonna sell. is access to information for the future. But then, of course, logically, troubles arise and the future has to change because time travel is developed. It was obvious where it was going. Um, how it played out was interesting. How the ending wasn't super concrete was interesting. But I gave it 3 stars. So then I went back to more manga. Or rather, I finished more manga next. I finished volume 24 of Attack on Titan, which I gave 4 stars, and volume 5 of Attack on Titan, which I gave 5 stars. And then finally, the last book I finished in the month of March was Octavia E. Butler, Kindred Fledgling Collected Stories, Library of America 338. This was an anthology of stories of works that of Octavia Butler's that included Kindred uh, and Fledgling, both novels, and then some of her short stories and some of her essays. And I actually liked more of her short stories. Between Kindred and Fledgling, I liked Kindred more. Fledgling, I couldn't get past the fact that, yes, we have this vampire story, and, ooh, she's, a black vampire amongst, descended from all these white vampires, and, she's the future of the vampire race because she's black, she can go out and withstand the sun more. But early on, we're let known that she looks 11. So one of the characters kind of calls it that. She kind of has a pseudo harem of human symbionts or I don't know. They're all one big happy pluralistic family. Um, and they all have these, she needs to touch them. They need to touch her. And yes, she's technically 53 years old, but she looks 11. And one of the main character who goes after her first, at some point calls her jailbait. It's really weird. It was really weird. So the whole thing is, you're reading this vampire story, but she's having regular sexual or pseudo-sexual contact with these people around her who are adults, and she looks 11. I couldn't read and not see that, visual in my mind, and it was very weird. So the story was decent enough. I do believe it was the author's last work. I gave that story. I would have given that story 3 stars if I was reading it alone, and I would have given Kindred 4 stars if I was reading it alone. But I was not reading them alone. I was reading them as part of this anthology. So the anthology overall, I gave about 4 stars. I really liked her short stories. I think I liked Child Finder was one of the ones I liked best. But overall, I gave it 4 stars. And so between the months of February and March, I read, let me see, 6 plus 18. I read 24 books. So now I'm at 32 books finished in the first 3 months of the year. If I read 18 books this month, I will be at 50. And I will be a third of my way to my goal of 150 for the year of 2021. And that's about on pace for, having 150 in the year. A third of the year, you've met a third of your goal. So can I do 18 this month? Possibly. Will I do 18 this month? I don't know. We'll see. Also, other months, you might do a surplus. So it's not like if I'm not on pace for April, that I definitely won't meet 150. That's not necessarily the case. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.